The Forgotten Man is one of Deltarune's most mysterious characters, having connections to Friend and the Shelter, along with being acknowledged by Gaster as an issue. But his most interesting connection is the root of all the others, Chris. Chapter 4's egg room basically confirms that the Forgotten Man is Chris's therapist. Well, was their therapist, as he doesn't seem to actually be around anymore. But if that's the case, how is he able to talk to Chris? And why am I saying any of this if he can be seen in the light world? Well, that's what I want to try and explain today. Starting with... Now, this may not seem that important, but I feel like the answer can wildly change how you interpret the Forgotten Man. Now, the common fandom consensus is that he's the Deltarune version of Gaster, and I'll admit, this is a very solid interpretation of him, and I think I'd be satisfied believing this if there wasn't someone else who just slightly beats him out. Grandpa Semi. Now, you may be asking who Grandpa Semi is, so I'll give you a quick rundown. Grandpa Semi is a scrapped Undertale character. We know he exists from old pieces of concept art and a file left over in the demo with the same name. Semi is also most likely the redacted sprite from Undertale. Not canonically, but redacted is leftover code from when Semi was intended to be used in the game. He was also most likely going to own the snail farm in Waterfall before it was given to Napstablook, as there is another unused NPC in this area, which when added back, talks about a skeleton telling them about orange attacks, explaining how they work before starting to talk about plaid attacks. This doesn't seem like any of the skeletons we see, as Papyrus wouldn't go off on a tangent about a non-existent attack type, and Sans explains blue attacks in a more comedic way. Also, neither of them ever use an orange attack, so this sounds like the work of another skeleton. Also, there's an unused stable left over in the game's code, and when added back in, guess who's standing inside? Redacted. Semi was going to be the original farmer, I'm 100% sure of it, I just unfortunately can't prove it. But I hope with the evidence I have provided, you can at least somewhat agree. Alright, back to the Forgotten Man. Before chapters 3 and 4, Forgotten Semi was more of a it'd be cool type of theory, but chapter 4 gives us an amazing piece of evidence supporting it. In the egg room, Chris finds a canvas and tries to draw what they saw behind the tree. They draw until they're left with what the game describes directly as a monochrome smear. You want to know what else is a monochrome smear? The redacted sprite from Undertale. The Forgotten Man is literally described with the exact string of words you can use to perfectly describe redacted. Now, this is pretty damning evidence in my opinion, so I'm going to conclude this portion here, but if you want more specifically on Redacted Semi and Forgotten Semi, there are some great videos by YouTuber Maxie Jackson which do a great job explaining those theories in more depth. But the main point of this theory isn't who is the Forgotten Man. No, that was just the start. The real question I'm posing is... Now, this may come as a shock to you, but the Forgotten Man is a little weird, a little wacky, a little zany. He's not a Darkner, but he doesn't seem to be a Lightner either. You can see why the idea of him being Gaster became so popular. But I think we have a better answer, and it was given to us in chapter 4. The Forgotten Man, aka Grandpa Semi, is dead, and the only reason he appears at all is because of Chris. Now, that is a very bold statement to make, but I think it holds weight. Chapter 4 introduces us to the concept of a monster being reanimated in the Dark World, in specific darkness. Now, you may be pointing at your screens and saying, aha, I thought you said the Forgotten Man only appeared because of Chris. How would he appear in the Night's Dark Worlds? It's a good question. The answer is, he doesn't. The Forgotten Man only ever appears in rooms between other rooms. He literally isn't part of the world. He's brought to life by Chris. Unintentionally, of course, but it's all them. That's why Chapter 3's egg room is so different. This Dark World is Chris's trauma brought to life. Of course he'd be a part of it. He's a part of that trauma. We know that Dark Worlds are formed from the will of the Creator, but they're also influenced by external factors. Take Queen, for example. Queen's personality changes based on who she's around, adapting to fit the role of mother based on the mothers of the other characters. This is called the Universal Mother Theory, and I'm only using it here to show that Dark Worlds reflect more than just the will of their maker, as I don't see a reason for the Knight to think about Berdley's neglectful mother while making the cyber world. All of that to say, Chris's trauma about deaths in the shelter manifests as their long-dead therapists in the Dark World. Because of their involvement in the Knight's plan, they're being forced to relive their trauma, plus the Dark Worlds aren't doing a great job of not shoving it directly in their face. I mean, Chapter 1 has Lancer directly say, "Oh, I'm lost and confused," while in the middle of a forest, so, yeah, they're not doing great. Now, what are the eggs? I've just been kind of glossing over them, but like, they're weird. They stay the same in both the light and dark worlds, and overall, why does the man give them to Chris? Well, if the man is a dark world revived memory of good old Gramps, then it stands to reason that the eggs would represent something related to Semi being Chris's therapist. And my explanation for this is that the eggs are the physical manifestation of Chris's repressed memories regarding the shelter. That's why, as the chapters progress, the egg rooms become more complex. Starting off as just a black room with the man and a tree, expanding to a more abstract idea of Semi's office, with several people waiting outside before you walk into a separate room to meet with the man, before coming an 8-bit copy of the actual doctor's office where Chris would have met Semi. Even if you don't get the previous eggs, Chris is still forced to relive more of their trauma as the game goes on. So this explanation still works. And the reason you can even see him in the light world if you get the eggs is Chris is slowly remembering him and imagining him going around his daily routine, even if he's no longer around to do so. It's also why Sans is able to be new in town, yet still live in the iconic skeleton family home. It was Semi's house, and Sans inherited it when he passed away, and he's just now been able to move into town. Now, I've covered most of what I want to talk about, but there's still one more thing I want to bring up. That's right, this whole time I've been leading up to this. As earlier established, Semi was supposed to own a farm. He's even spotted inside a stable. He's a cowboy. He only exists in the weird trauma rooms inside Chris's mind that only they can enter. Because out of the fun gang, they're the only one that knew him. He's the friend inside their mind. Oh, and guess what? He's still a farmer in Deltarune. On Sundays, I go to harvest the wheat. He's a farmer. He harvests the wheat. Same as Undertale. Oh my god, it's so obvious. I can't believe I solved Tricky Tony's game. And guess what? I can go one step further. Friend inside me, the Woody image. It's black and white, it's pixelated and blurry. It's a monochrome smear! Grandpa Semi was friend inside me the whole time! This theory might not be the most well written, but I feel like I got my point across in the best way I personally could, and that's all that matters to me. I just want to get my thoughts out before Chapter 5 releases later this year, and we get the probable conclusion to the egg storyline. So that's all I have to say for now. I hope this theory got you thinking about the Forgotten Man, even if you don't necessarily believe it. But that's all from me. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. My name is Cassidy Penumbra, and I'll see you next time.